So good morning, everyone. Good morning, and nice to see all of you. And can you hear? Yeah. Can you hear? Okay.
Yeah, I think we hear.
Yeah. And today, I think it is going to be just a more like a connecting. You know, it will be a little bit of news or story so far. So then, so I don't have to keep on explaining and writing to each and every one of you how I'm doing or how my families are doing and what I have been doing, you know. So in that way, I can communicate all of you without having to take time to write to each of you. Can you hear? Yeah, because I hear one.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And I think, as usual, maybe we can start with a short breathing meditation exercise, followed by cultivating a good intention, motivation for being here. And before I start going blah blah blah. Okay. So just try to make yourself as comfortable as possible. And try to relax as much as possible. And try to keep your attention on the breath, watching it mindfully. Then we can think May our time here coming together visually become in cause and condition to connect with each of us and all sentient beings. And to be able to connect from the heart. That opens the space for our loving kindness, compassion to grow and expand towards each and every sentient being. May it become cause and conditions to achieve our own highest potential, the fully awakened state, the Buddhahood. So we can be most and greatest help and benefit to each and every sentient being. Okay, then we can start with the short prayer before the talk. So I think Mary is going to display on for all of us, I guess.
Yes, it's coming. Sorry, technical difficulties for a second. Sorry, everybody.
It's okay. No.
Thank you. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Sorry.
To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the fourth destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened beings, perfect in knowledge, and in good conduct, Sukada, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of God and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offering, and go for refuge. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all three ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all rams, atoms, in all aspects, with the supreme faith, I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous action, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind truly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual abbreviation, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, and drop of dew, or a bubble. A dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through this merit, may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the four of false, and be delivered from samsaric oceans, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. So then we can do the mandala. Sa shi be gi chun shin me do ta re ra le che yin de gen pa de sang ge shin do mi de wa do gun nam ta shin che ba shu. O holy and perfect pure Lama, from the clouds of compassion that form in the sky of your Dharmakaya wisdom, please release a rain of vast and profound Dharma, precisely in accordance with the needs of those to be trained. Idamang Guru Rana Mandala Kaniyatayami. Then we do the refuge and bodhicitta. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentients. Sangye Jodan Soge Jonam Ma, Chanju Patu Dani Kap, Sage Geshe-la Sonam, Dola Penje Sangye Doba, Sangye Jodan Soge Jonam, Chanju Patu, Sage Geshe-la Sonam, Dola Penje Sangye Do. So it is so nice to be back, and thank you for joining. A kind of new reality now, at least for a while. We don't know how long that this reality might be, for weeks, months, years, who knows. And it has, like everything else, it has good side and bad side. You know, the negative side is that it's not same when you meet in person and or meeting through a visual, like such as online. At the same time, it allows more people to participate and join, you know, and yeah, it gives us more kind of space and time. So people who struggle with time, maybe they are able to participate, and to be able to participate from your own home is also sometimes nice. So I think, you know, in everything in samsara, you know, there is good side and bad side in everything, and it is always, it depends on where we focus our mind on, you know, and especially in this kind of crisis, difficult time, I think it is important to focus our mind on the positive side as much as possible, which is not easy all the time, but at least I think it's important at least try to train our mind and trying to see the positive side of it, instead of being too consumed by seeing only the negative side, because that could make much more that could make our mind much more negative and depressing and fearful, and with those kind of mind with the fear, negative, then that could lead to many other negative feelings such as frustrations and anger and many other negative feeling could arises through that. And so it is already challenging by the situation itself, so we don't have to create more problems, more suffering, more pain due to our mind focusing too much on the just the negative side. Okay, so anyway, it just kind of lead me to a thought came in my mind as I was speaking, so okay, maybe I should give a little bit update on first of all, I'm as you can see, I'm safe and well so far. Next moment, tomorrow, next week, who knows? Nobody really knows. And grateful that I'm safe and healthy so far. So a lot of things, sometimes we think we are in control of things. And again, this situation, another good example, how we are not in control of things. We human beings like to think we are in control of things, in terms of our life, in terms of the world itself, in terms of situations and all of that. But it just shows how unpredictable and how things could change anytime. And so therefore we can't take anything for granted. And I've been learning that in last year and this year of that. As you all know, I was supposed to be traveling to Australia last year at the end of last year after my stay here by the end of October, and just a couple of weeks before I was to fly, my visa was rejected. And of course, nobody really coming, because we have taken granted people who are in Australia who are trying to apply, and myself, because I've done this process all the time, and we never had a problem before. So we thought this time will be also same, but apparently it is not same. Things change, and for whatever reasons. So it was rejected and not accepted. And so, so it closed one door, but it opened another door for me. It allowed me to have a retreat for 6-7 weeks, which was great because I haven't been able to find such a long time for a retreat for a while. And so, yeah, of course, I was looking forward to the visit because I have not been traveling for the 2 years. And my brothers had a new babies and they were looking forward. I was looking forward to see them, and the friends that I've known for a while, you know, they were looking forward as well as me, you know, but again, you know, things just change, and then accepting the new reality, and then how can we utilize the new reality in the best way? You know, that is, we can spend time complaining in our mind, being very disappointed, very upset, all kind of things. Allow our mind to be overwhelmed by that kind of negativities and negative minds, and or we just shift your mind and try to see some positive from here, and how can I utilize this new reality, you know, which we have not planned before, but this is something new just presented in you. This is the new reality. This is what it is, and how can you utilize that? And immediately, you know, I thought, oh, what a great opportunity, and of course through the kindness of, you know, Ajna and his parents, kindness and generous in offering the space and helping me with the shopping and all of that. Really, I had a really wonderful retreat, and then, you know, after the retreat, I flew to Nepal. Again, even there was change, you know. First, I was going to go to India for His Holiness teaching in South India, and that was where we had booked our ticket. But again, there was change in the last minute of the time as well as the venue of the teachings. And so then I had to fly to Nepal, and then I had maybe 10 days in Nepal before again I went to India for the teachings. And in India, at the very beginning, the teaching was supposed to be in South India, in Devung Monastery, but then it changed to Bodh Gaya. And so anyway, so I went to Bodh Gaya with some of my friends from Kopan Monastery, you know, for the teachings, and it was the continuity of the last year, you know, of His Holiness last year teachings, and some empowerment and some teachings. And when we go to teachings, especially like at place like in Bodh Gaya, where there's a lot of people, you know, for teaching in Bodh Gaya, because it is easy to access for a lot of the people from the Himalayan regions, you know. from Nepal, from Bhutan, from Sikkim, those areas. So there will be always a lot of people. If it was in South India, it will be less people because it's very far away from people from Nepal and Sikkim and Bhutan and all of that. And so not only it is a very holy place, the Bodh Gaya, but also it is a easy access to a lot of the Himalayan region who follow the Tibetan Buddhism, and it makes them more easy for them to attend that. And so it is always crowded when that happens. And when we go to there, we go with the expectation you are going to get sick, you know. And if you don't get sick, it will be surprise, you know. And it is in winter, you know, and flu seasons is always in the winter. It's a flu seasons, and people are crowded, you know, and yeah, touching body to body in the teachings areas, you know, and a lot of dust. And of course, if someone has, then it's easy to pass, coughing, all of that. So generally, when we go there, in your mind, you have to prepare, you know, that you will have cold, flu, one of them. And so anyway, and I share a room with two other monks, you know, and it was last year we stayed in one of the hotel room. Again, we three of us shared it, and close to the teaching venue. And this year, when I asked my friend if he could kind of book the room for us, first he found it, then he found another room not far away. It is a guest house run by a Vietnamese temple, and so he thought that would be more clean and maybe more easier in terms of the food, because after teachings there are restaurant, and everyone after teaching everyone is in the restaurant. Sometimes you have to wait many minutes or hours, you know, because there are only few restaurants, and then there's so many crowded, and after teaching everyone's coming. So he thought maybe in Vietnamese temple they have their own restaurant, and so that would make it easier. So we always think, you know, looking for more easier, better, you know, and apparently, you know, the restaurant wasn't open during the teachings time, you know, and at the temple, you know, because it is temple guest house, so there is the temple and Gomba's few monks, and every morning in the fall they wake up and they do their prayers, you know, and then they have all this their bang sticks, you know. So so you have no choice but to get up at 4. You know? So that was another experience. You know, so anyway, you think you are getting better situations, and that is not the case, you know. It's always like the other side of the garden look more greener, that mentality we have. And so we thought maybe we are going to get a better situation than last year, but that wasn't the case, you know. So anyway, I was there in Bodh Gaya, and yeah, for a week, and His Holiness was very healthy and great. Last year, His Holiness got a little bit sick, at least he had to cancel one day of teachings because he had some stomach problems and diarrhea and stomach ache and some other things. But this year he seems very, very healthy and in great shape, and I didn't get, flu or yet last year we all of us, three of us got a flu. First, one of the friend got Michael Geshe, and then he was getting better, and then the other friend Tencho and I got together later. We all got it, and of course most of the people have got it. This year, none of us got it, and we were kind of surprised. We were surprised, but I was too quick to be excited. The last day of the teachings, I had food poisoning, so I had stomach problems. And next day we had to drive, maybe 7-8 hours from Bodh to Banarasi, and I was a little bit worried about it because in India, on the road, sometimes you can't find a restroom anywhere, and so I took some medications, and luckily, we didn't have to stop in the middle of the nowhere in open toilet, which is common in India. I didn't have to do that, luckily, where I was able to, I think with the help of the medications, I didn't have to feel that, and whenever there is a restroom, we stop, and I was able to go and do that. But so that was good part, and so yeah, the teachings was wonderful as always, and I had the opportunity to pay respect and see my teachers, of course, Lama Soba in Nepal before I went to India, and then also in India, and Gandhi Rinpoche, who came here when he was Chansi Chöje here before. Also, I was able to pay respect him a couple of times. And one of my teachers, he was there last year, but this year he hasn't come, so he was in South, so I couldn't visit him. That was a little bit sad, and that I thought he might be coming there too. So anyway, and so yeah, then came back to Nepal, and then spent some time in 6 more weeks in Nepal. And I spent some time in monasteries and some time with my father, It is, when I'm not in monasteries and when I spend times at home with my father, sometime for 3-4 days, sometime for a week. my friends in the monastery will tease me, saying, "Oh, you are a monk and you are supposed to give up home, and you should be in monastery and not at home." And then when I'm at home, normally, my parents, especially when my mom was still alive, my mom used to say, "Oh, you come for only short time and you spend so much time at the monastery, so little with us." So, so you can't make everyone happy all the time. Uh, everyone thinks that you are not spending enough time with them. But basically, I kind of spent, kind of half time at the monastery and with my father, with my parents. Of course, my mom's no more, but with my father now. And he in general, he's okay, fine, with his age, 87. Your health is vulnerable, not strong. And when I was there, he has flu, and a little bit weak. And normally in the winter, his health is a little bit worse. Most time in the winter, he gets cold or flu, so he wasn't that state at that time. Later, we found out actually it was pneumonia. Yeah, more than actually flu. It has turned to pneumonia, but he has recovered now and he seems much better. Couple of days before I left, my brother, the other monk, the brother, he came from India. Of course, I met him in Bodh Gaya during the teachings, so we had a couple of days together. And then he had to stay there because he needed to teach there. And then he came to Nepal 2-3 days before I left. And so then he came and then he was taking care of my father. He's still there. He's stuck there because he need to be back to India to teach the monastery, but it's total, the border is closed from Nepal side and India side, both sides. And also he's doing some retreat by himself. And so that is also good for him. And also it was good because he was able to be with my father. And so I spoke with him, maybe a week ago on video call, and yeah, my father seems to be doing much better. He has recovered fully, and yeah, he looks much better. And he says he's good, and also you can see from face he looks much better. So yeah, that was kind of pretty much. And I went with few of my friends from the monastery, for outside of the Kathmandu, driving for 3-4 days. We were going to go to some pilgrimage towards the Mustang, but we couldn't go to the place we wanted to go because of the snow. We could only go up to the halfway, and which we did a pilgrimage at one place, but we couldn't go the upper part of it because of the snow. We had to come back, and on the way up and down, we stopped by a natural hot spring, We spent, when we went up, we spent one night there, and when we came, we spent one night there. So we had a nice time. A friend that I've known since, 80s, early 80s, late 70s. And of course, every time I go, I see them. Sometimes we go for lunch or dinner, and we sit in the monastery and we talk. But we haven't been able to spend time together like that. And this time we tried to find a time, and we went together, and we had a blast. And we all became the child. It brought our childish, just being a kind of silly, and so it was a really great time, and I think we all enjoyed so much, we all were saying we should plan that every year. That was what they were saying. And especially for one of the friends, he's in charge of looking after the buildings and constructions, and he's very busy, and really he hasn't been able to find that time. And so I think it was really good for him, extremely good for him to get that time, and also really, to be silly and just being like a child, that you don't have to be serious all the time, a lot of time we become serious, and sometimes too serious as well, so that was we had a beautiful time, and also one of the things, because when we're doing at hotel, we were sharing rooms, and with a friend that I was sharing, the room, it was nice to see, I noticed whenever he kind of starting, not fully wake up, like in the middle of the night or very early morning sometimes, he's almost like half awake or half sleep. And every time I notice he's reciting Om Mani Padme every time, even in kind of when he's, and I thought, oh, that's wonderful, to be in that stage, and that was inspiring to see, like in the middle of the night, sometimes I wake up and I hear something, and then he was reciting Om Mani Padme, and I thought he was awake, but then I noticed he wasn't awake. It was like half sleep. And things are well in Kopan Monastery. During the earthquake, there were some destructions. 2 buildings were totally need to be demolished, and then a few others were cracked, and they have to repair it. And now they have repaired and they have rebuilt all of them. So that is good. Of course, in general in Nepal, it's 5 years since the earthquake, but still many places they haven't been able to rebuild it, you know. In some places, people still struggle to find the money to rebuild it. They haven't got the money to rebuild it, you know. But I think majority of them, from what I hear, they have been able to rebuild it. So that is the good side of it. And you know, Lama Sopa Rinpoche is very well, healthy, and good, you know, and I think Rinpoche would like to give teaching every day, you know, but of course, because it has to be social distance, so yeah, so Rinpoche is in Kopan now, yeah, but in good health. And also His Holiness also had canceled all the teachings and all that, again, for social distancing, you know. But what you hear is His Holiness also in a really good health. So then I left Nepal on the 12th of February to coming back to the US, you know. Of course, at that time, the virus has kind of spread all over. And in Nepal at that time, we didn't know, you know, whether there was case or not, because they haven't done any testings. And Nepal promoted 2020 as a Visit Nepal, you know, and so they have been promoting for more than a year and focusing on China, you know, Chinese tourists. And the border was open, and of course, the virus already come in China in December, as far as we know. Maybe it might be even earlier, but and even by February, it wasn't closed, and definitely there were Chinese tourists, many tourists. So there was fear, a lot of fear among the people, you know. But like everywhere in the world, the government's afraid to close it because it means a lot of economic they have spent so much money to promote it's a tourist year, and I think they were not ready to close it, so they didn't close it, and there was some fear among the public, you know, whether the virus might have spread a lot, and the government has not done any kind of testing because they didn't have the testing kits and wasn't paying so much attention. So anyway, but people have starting to become more careful themselves, you know, wearing the mask and different things. And so I flew from Nepal, Singapore, Seattle, and to Missoula in Montana. So of course, so when I flew from Nepal, of course I was wearing masks, you know. In Singapore, in airport, you know, they were very, you can see there were some kind of screen, they are watching people, and through that maybe they see temperature, you know. They are not checking individually, but from when you go from one terminal to another terminal, there were officers and they are watching that. And then once from when I was flying from Singapore to Seattle, then nobody was wearing a mask, so I have to take my mask as well. Because it seems like you are the white sheep or white goat, whatever you call it, and feel a little bit uncomfortable. And so, and then of course I flew, and then so it seems luckily I haven't got the virus during that those flight, because also of course in Seattle. And then so I was in Missoula for a week, and from there I went to California. I was in around San Jose area for a week, and then I was in Long Beach for a week, and from there I was in Denver for a week. And when I was in Denver, when the things started to, it seems the virus spreading more in these countries, in more states, and of course there were cases, and I wasn't sure whether I should continue or not continue the tour. And my friends, Jen, as well as the couple who used to be monk from Kopan, they also said if I want to stay, I can stay there. They offer their house to stay, and then it seems at that time Reno or Nevada doesn't have a lot of cases, so that was my next stop. I went to Reno, and by the time we reached Reno, I think things was getting more worse. And so while I was Reno, even with first day we did in the center, and second day we decided maybe it might be better for us not to do that. And second day we did online, even in Reno and Dhammakaya. And the next stop was to be in New York, but so we decided that was not a good idea, and so from there we canceled the rest of the tour, and some we canceled it, and some I did on online teachings, and some others they don't have the access, and people are not used to doing Zoom, and so we canceled three center we canceled totally. We didn't even do by Zoom, and then a few others we did through Zooming. And Trey and his wife Annie, they have been always very kind, and they offer they had a control close by the Lake Tao, and so then I went there, and then I did some teaching online with some centers, and most time I did my own practice and retreat. So I got to get another opportunity to do the retreat. I was there 6 weeks, So again, things change. Again, it closed one door, and again it opened another door, and again it was lovely and wonderful to find time for yourself and to do the retreat. So that was more or less of what I have been doing, and as I mentioned in one of my email, I think last year, the retreat, both last year and this year, some sessions you have good sessions, some sessions you have so-so, some sessions not so great, but regardless of whatever result, whether you have good experience, you don't have good experience, but you keep on doing it. That is part of the learning. That is part of the process, just like when we do the physical exercise, whatever you do, whether you go to gym, whether you are jogging, running, walking, whatever, some days you enjoy doing that. Some days you don't enjoy doing so much. Sometimes you just push it. You just have to do it. And it is a different experience, but if you want to be physically healthy, you have to do that. It's not about only enjoying it or having a good experience all the time, that is part of, and same way in terms of our, to keep our mental health, better mental health when we do the practice, meditation, whatever, just like everything else. Some days the session, the meditations are better, and some days they are not so good, but you just keep on doing it. You just keep on doing it, and without really kind of expectations to repeat the good experience that you might have in earlier one of sessions or a couple of sessions or more sessions, basically we just have to learn to do it and just go with it, and whatever experience that arises, not so good and or so or great, good, if the experience is good, that's wonderful. That is bonus, that's wonderful. And even if you don't have the greatest experience, we just keep on doing the practice, the meditation, whatever. I think that is, we can't just give up because you didn't have great experience, Otherwise, how can we kind of improve and learn, and get better? So I think that was, and I just wanted to share that, because sometimes you might also feel the same way when you are doing practice, whatever practice you are doing, sometimes we have better experience, it encourages you and inspires you, and sometimes you might not have a great experience, and then it might not be so encouraging, and you might think of, not doing it because it wasn't a great experience, or because it wasn't as enjoyable, because not every session can become like that. Until you reach a certain point, of course, as we progress on our path, then a practitioner can reach a certain point where then it becomes much more enjoyable and good experience. But until we reach that point, we keep on going. And so with that, I think maybe we will have a short break, maybe 10 minutes of break. And when we come back from the break, I can take questions those who have questions or comments or who want to share in what their experience dealing with the present situations in terms of their practice. That might be another way to kind of also process. And sometimes it's good to kind of share how each of us are dealing with the same situation with what different practice that we might be doing, and that can also help each others to kind of see what others are doing and how certain practice are helping them in to them in dealing with this crisis and challenges and difficulty times. Okay, so yeah, we will have a short break. A little bit kind of the struggles, having taken the lay vows of not killing or taking the lives, and when you are working with your gardening, and there are challenges, so I think that was the cautions, the challenge that there is, the struggle. And I guess even though the caution is kind of asked by one of the students, probably we all have some struggle and challenge with that, even when you are not gardening, still, with many other things, similar situations. And that is where it comes, that is where it comes, the need to get out of the samsara. Because when we are in samsara, even just for surviving, even with the best intentions, it's hard not to create certain level of negative karma, even just to survive, and so therefore I think that as long as we are in samsara and we are samsaric beings, no matter how much you try, it is so difficult not to create certain level of karma, negative karma, certain subtle level of negative karma, because we need to eat, because we need to drink, because we need to walk, go here and there, and unintentionally there's a lot of things involved there. So one, that shows why we need to get out of samsara. Secondly, it also shows why we need to develop loving kindness, compassion as much as possible, and why we need to dedicate for others, in whatever way, in that way we balance the karma, so it doesn't become just negative karma, but while negative karma is being created, at the same time, we balance it by creating a lot of positive karma as well, intentionally, and through that, then we are able to balance And then, of course, those which we have already created a negative karma, then we try to do the purification as much as possible, you know. And that is why all the teachers, all the masters advise us to do purification every day, you know. Even we can't find a long time to really to sit and to really do a meaningful purifications. At least we try to, you know, recite the Vajrasattva mantras, you know, at least, you know, long one, 21 every day, you know, or short one, 28 every day. And if you do this 21 short one, it doesn't take even 5 minutes, you know, a few seconds. And yeah, and sometimes if you cannot find time, you know, you can do while you are walking or while you are driving, you know, it is better than nothing. That is how you have to think. You know, sometimes we think, oh, the practice has to be so perfect. And if the practice is not perfect, then you don't do it, you know. I think in that way, you lose the opportunity. I think, of course, we try to do the perfect as much as possible, but when we don't have that time and opportunity, at least, you know, we can do the, even is just reciting that mantra, and with some, even we don't do the visualization, even with little bit of acknowledging and recognizing the negative karma that we might have created, and cultivating understanding how unwholesome, unhealthy it is. And then even we don't have total, 100% determinations that we will not create again in whatever, you know, even it is kind of hard-minded, is better than not having that. So that is one of the things I think we have to realize. I think one of the things I kind of, my observations is a lot of people, you know, if the practice is not good quality, then they think maybe why should I do it? If I do it, I have to do it perfectly in a good quality. If it, and I think again, you are losing a lot, you know. It's just like in this time, of course, you know, if you want to get everything you like, food and everything, but if you can't get the brand you like, whatever there is, you just get it. You don't think, oh, I didn't get the brand I want, so therefore I'm not going to buy the new brand. You don't think that way. Whatever is available, there, you grab it. It's about survival. Similarly, we should have that kind of attitude, you know, in practice. Of course, we always try to do in the best way, but and so, and I think with that kind of attitude, we try to do the practice a little bit. And so what I was trying to say was, so because we keep on creating negative karma, so we have to balance it by doing the purifications. And with that understanding also, until we get out of samsara, it's hard to not to create negative karma. And therefore it should inspire us to get out of negative karma. I mean, out of samsara. and also it should inspire us to be more compassionate and kind to other sentient beings and to serve the others, physically, verbally, or even through mentally dedicating our merit and virtues in whatever way we can. So it's not only taking, it's while you are taking, you are also giving. And in that way, again, we balance. And so that is something we need to do to balance that, And so that kind of, so yeah, I can see the struggle that we all have in relation to that kind of the struggle, and whether it's positive karma or whether it's negative karma, the karma to become very powerful, it need to have all the four conditions come together. And so if all the four conditions are not together, then while we create a karma, whether it's positive or negative karma, but it will not be so strong, and so in terms of negative karma, having some regret instead of joyfully doing that, have a effect on the strongness of karma, while we create negative karma and we enjoy in doing that, if we rejoice in doing that actions, then your karma, negative karma, becomes stronger. The same with positive karma. When we do something positive, we rejoice, it becomes more powerful. On the other hand, even we are creating some negative karma, but we kind of, we don't enjoy it, we don't rejoice it, but it feels like you don't want to do it, but you are forced to do it in some cases. In that cases, the negative karma become less strong, less effective. In that way, how can, first, if we can reduce the negative karma, if we don't have to create a negative karma, that's best. But if we cannot stop creating negative karma, how can we create it with a less effect, where it is less strong? And so I think that is one thing. And then, whether we are gardening or whether we are walking or whether whatever we are doing, to recite medicine Buddha mantras, and Om Mani Padme Hum, other mantras can be helpful, and to dedicate to all sentient beings that might have come in contact while we are walking, while we are drinking, eating, while we are gardening, that might have been killed, and dedicate for them to have a, on behalf of them, we do the practice, we recite the mantras, we do the practice, and then dedicate for their high rebirth. And every day, every day if we can dedicate all our virtues, all our merit towards all sentient beings, then again, in that way, we are not only taking away, but we are also giving something back. And through that, again, we try to balance in whatever way we can balance in some way. And so that is some kind of little advice that I can give, and also one of the things I wanted to, of course, when we take the vows, one thing, the lay vows, the actual downfall is when we take the life of another human being. That is the downfall. The defect, when we really break the vows from the root, is when we take the life of another human beings, even though we take the vows not to take any life, but the man is taking the life of another human being. The same in the lying, you know, we take the vows not to lie, but the men lie here. The lie which had the downfall or defect is when we have big lie, which we call big lie, which is the lie about your spiritual realizations. Even when you don't have certain spiritual realizations, when you lie about that spiritual realizations, that is the downfall and defect when we break the root vows of lying. But other small lies is not the defect or downfall. You know, it is, of course, it is still kind of transgrading to some degree, and it is still polluting the vows. But that is another. So the reason why I'm saying this is because, you know, again, yeah, when we take the vows, that is the in terms of the main root downfall is when you take the life of another human beings. In terms of lying, then when you have spiritual lie about big lie, we call big lie about spiritual realizations, and so that I want to remind to kind of clarify that a little bit on that on the vows itself in that, and then and with all this information, with all of that, then individually we have to kind of decide ourselves, you know, because I do get a lot of questions about what about the you know, putting a animal dying or sick, putting it down, or in some cases people who want to have a assistance dying, you know. Again, you know, in Buddhism, any form of taking life, whether it is putting down, whether it is, it's not encouraged, it is always discouraged, even your own life with the existence of that. But by understanding all of that, it is up to individual to make their decisions. Same abortions, you know, child abortion, Buddhism does not encourage that, it discourages that. But at the end, everyone has to make their own decisions with that understanding by seeing pros and cons and all of that. And it is, yeah. So at the end, it always comes back to individuals, you know, with that understanding, and then finally, you know, whatever decision you take it, you know. Also, we have to be practical as well, you know. And so I guess maybe that is all I can say about it, you know. It's I cannot say it's okay to take it. Is definitely no. At the same time, I cannot also say it's not okay totally, you know, because it is individual decisions that we all have to make, knowing, you know, pro and cons, and by understanding and yeah, all of that, you know. But what I can say is the certain practice we can do every day, in order to. So I think that is I think maybe the answer to that, and I think there is another. if there is any questions, again, anyone can please unmute and they can let me know. And any other questions? I don't know whether it was private, it was or is. But another question was asked whether the monks at the temple where I was staying in Vietnamese temple in Bulgaria, whether they also attended His Holiness teachings. And I think, yeah, they did it. Actually, they invited His Holiness to visit their temple, and they were getting ready for it. But when we were there, His Holiness didn't come, and but I don't know whether they were able to invite him later or not. But definitely there was a lot of other Vietnamese people who came for teachings, His Holiness teaching, and who were staying at the temple. And definitely the monks were also, the monks were actually, I think maybe it is Mahayana's practitioner, Vietnamese Mahayana practitioner. And yeah, they had Maitreya Buddhas. The main figure they had in the temple was Maitreya Buddha. And they were preparing, they were hoping His Holiness would visit them. I think they have made a request. Yeah. So if there is any other questions, please, or otherwise, if there is anyone, if you want to share or comments on the, I think there was another there. Yeah, one of the students said, I just want to express my appreciation, joy in being able to attend from a distance, living so far away from the center makes it difficult to attend all the teachings. I would like to, I hope this online aspect continue. Thank you to all who have helpful to put this together. Yeah, I think that was one of the things I was saying at the very beginning, this new reality has enabled a lot of people from distant to able to participate, and I think that is the positive aspect of that. And I think, yeah, I think probably that maybe even when we are in person, I think to provide this access, people who are unable to attend from far away, that would be great. Yeah. So if anyone has question, whether you can, if you are shy to raise it, then you can send me on the chat box, and then that.
Hello, Geshe-la.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much for being here. It's great to see you. I just wanted to share a little bit, and then I had a question.
Yeah, please.
At this time, like I'm not working, and so I haven't never had this type of break for 27 years of working. So I'm really like appreciating the quiet because I can really pay so much more attention to what's happening in my mind, with my thoughts and my feelings. And whereas like usually I'm scheduled and everything's scheduled with kids and work, and but now I can really track when I can begin to really hear my own attachments and my own aversion and my own joy and my own like gratitude to the fullest. So I'm really appreciating that about this time. But it's hard too, because of course I see how much I vacillate between attachment and aversion. So it's just such a blessing, and I'm so grateful for this time. But I guess my question is as we begin to like assimilate into a different, like as businesses begin to open, as I began to go back to work, as you know, maybe I don't know, there's so much unknown, of course, but as things begin to move in a way where we can hug each other and talk to each other, like in regards to this like environmental karma, what we're experiencing with this sickness, like as we, like how can we individually do what's best for the environment? Like I'm really seeing that a lot of, like, I haven't driven my car for like days at a time, and it's great, and I feel like that's helping the environment. But how can we do our best with like learning what we have, what the opportunity is to learn here, and do things in a different way when we get back to doing things every day?
Wow, I think maybe that I think maybe that questions. I think maybe everyone's had that questions. I think that is another struggle we all have. Um, I think we all does not want to contribute for the destructions of the environment, or at least the majority of the people who are aware of the situations. They would like to reduce their contributions towards that, but it is always kind of a struggles how to do that. I think has always been struggles, especially in certain area. In some area, you don't need your car. In some big city, you have public transportations, and you can deal with that. And a lot of people have in their whole life they've never driven a car. Who have lived in some big cities, and they make a conscious choice to do that. And of course, when you live in certain area, you don't have that so many choice. But still, it is always. And so I think I don't know. I don't have the answer. I think individually we all are aware how this time has helped to heal the world, the earth, the nature, the environment to a certain level, and so how can we contribute to make that happen? I think I don't have the answer. Maybe if it's not too far away, if people can. Sometimes what I've seen in these countries, even at a very short distance, walking distance, 10 minutes walk, people still choose to drive. Those are the things we can make change. In some cases, like it's far away, you can't walk to that distance to do things. But I think in some things, sometimes it's just 5 minutes distance, 10-minute distance, 15-minute distance of walking, and make the choice to walk to that, especially, and you don't. It also become is good for your health. You don't have to find extra time to do some kind of walking while you do your walk to go wherever you need to go for some places where it is within a certain distance, or maybe bicycling, if there is access to bicycling, or using a scooter, small things. where it use less gas, less space, you know, and so in that way, you know, you only drive when it's very important and necessary in terms that you need to go very far away, and you have things you cannot just carry when you are just walking or on bicycles, you know. But if it's small things and it's short distance, using those, you know, of course it also depends on places, you know, how safe, not safe, those also. So I think those are the things that, you know, and especially also, you know, yeah, if possible, you know, sharing like a carpool, you know, for example, if it's possible, you know, when we need to go some places when we were the same places, and that, you know, carpoolings among people and those things, small things, steps that individuals can take, you know. It will be hard to really change the total lifestyles in certain place, in certain conditions, you know. So I guess, you know, we all, and also, you know, probably even going to shopping, you know, instead of going, you know, you have a list of what you need to do for a week or 2 weeks. And when you go, you do all shopping one day. So instead of driving all the time for small one day, small thing today, and again afternoon I want to go because I need one more thing, small things. And we keep on driving because it seems easy. And but sometimes if we plan properly what I need this week's food or other things that I might be doing that, and if we can do in one time, 2 times, instead of going many times. And those are the small things. I think maybe we can make a difference if we do have to make some effort at the very beginning, you know, because we are so used to thinking certain way and doing things certain way, and to change that kind of reactions or that kind of behavior or actions, it might require some effort at the very beginning. But if we do that slowly, we can change, you know. So in some countries, you know, people, you know, they do not go for a drive for they only take the car when it's really necessary, important, because of the traffic, because of the parking, because of the fuel prices, everything. So people are, and so then you have to plan a certain way, and then do that. And in this country, maybe, especially here, in some places, it might not be a problem. Parking might not be two big problems. Maybe fuel is not a so high price like some countries, and you know, those might not be issues. So then it is easier for us to drive immediately and without proper planning. And so, but again, if we have conscious effort, you know, trying to reduce that, and so I think maybe in that way we can contribute a small way in that way. And I think maybe other than that, I'm not sure. We all have to find a way to do ourselves. And you might have to find your own way, Cody, to find a way to do it. Okay, any others?
Thank you.
Most welcome. Does anyone has other? Yeah. If not, then again, in such difficult time and crisis, it is easy to become negative. It is easy to become frustrated. It is easy to become, overwhelmed or even depressed. Because we see so much pain, sufferings, difficulties in our own cases, or our families, friends around us who have been affected different ways, or the country itself, the whole world itself, and the people who live in that. So it can, and I think it's important us to, because our mind easily goes into those things easily, So it's important for us to train our mind to focus on the positive side as well, and doesn't allow our mind with just only thinking on the negative side, because there are also certain positive aspects of it, of in different levels. In terms of the climate, environment itself, the environment, the earth has got some relief for some time to heal itself. Probably maybe certain policies or act that might take 2-3 years or 10 years or 5 years to have such effect. The effect that it has during these few months from the whole part of the world, maybe if it wasn't these cases, even we come with certain policies to reduce all the emissions and all of that, probably to have that effect that it has at the moment, probably it might take many, many years, and many much of money to do that, So in that, in a way, as a world, maybe it's like you are investing those money for the environment, even though maybe, of course, we might go back to the old habits and old way, but still it got the time to heal for a certain period, and that might have been long-term some positive effect, hopefully. And from here, maybe also maybe as a countries, whether it's a leaders or whether it's a citizen, maybe they have started, maybe there is some change in their mind in processing again, and maybe now maybe more conscious about it, because I have been seeing some articles and like that, in many places, even in Delhi, like last 30-40 years, some people have never seen the mountains, and they are not even aware probably there is a mountains. And now from the top of their house, they can see hills and few different layers of hills, and then the snow mountains behind that, I have visited Delhi many times, and also I have never seen that. And I was also not aware that there was And recently I saw pictures, and now people can see from the top of the house. And that is just one example that is in all over the world. And once you are exposed to that, maybe they would like to keep that. They don't want to lose that, and that gives you some more kind of tangible awareness. And maybe that can have some effect on the leaders as well as the citizens, thinking about how can we go forward in the futures so that we can reduce that more, and maybe hopefully that will be the case for all over the world, or most of the world, or at least many places, so anyway, and also, in such difficult times, of course, either it brings the good side of the human beings or bad side of the human beings. In majority, the most majority of the people, it brings the good side. Only very few number of people's their negative bad sides, and again is very you can see all over the world, just as there are people who are exploiting, taking advantage even in such difficult times, but they are very few. But in terms of showing the loving kindness, loving pour of that all over the world is so much. And so again, I think trying to see the good side of the good side of the human beings, humanity, by looking at that, then that should kind of give us more inspirations and courage and more hope, and so again, focusing on the and then also in such difficult time, focusing on unity, is very important, I think, despite the differences that we might have, and in relation to that, I want to read. I don't know whether you have read it or not. It's sent. It must have been sent by us today, I guess, today, by His Holiness. There was a message sent by His Holiness, which I thought was very. In this time of crisis, we face threats to our health and sadness for the family and friends we have lost. Economic disruptions is posing a major challenge to governments and undermining the ability of so many people to make a living. It is during times like this that we must focus on what unites us as members of one human family. Accordingly, we need to reach out to each other with compassion, and that we see all over the world, how so many people reaching out each others and reaching out to those vulnerable ones, helping. There's really good that you see that all over the world. That is really wonderful. As human beings, we all are the same. We experience the same fears, the same hopes, the same uncertainties. Yet we are also united by a desire for happiness. Our human capacity to reason and to see things realistically and clearly give us ability to transform hardship into opportunity. This crisis and its consequences serve as a warning that only by coming together in a coordinated global response will we meet unprecedented magnitude of challenges we face. I pray we all heed the call for unite, Dalai Lama, May 1. So I think this is sent on the 1st of May. And again, I think here again, great teachings, message, not only for the leaders, of course, definitely the leader has more responsibility, but as citizens of the world, as a citizen of the country, we also need to focus on that oneness and one as a oneness and united. And so I think with that, I will close today here. And of course, today is more kind of like just a introducing, welcoming each other's, connecting with each other's, you know, and then from next week maybe we'll focus more on the teachings itself. Okay. So again, thank you very much for everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you, and keep safe and well. Yeah, and so we do the dedications. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen, arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. May all being everywhere plagued by the suffering of body and mind obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtues of my merit. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sound. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hunger find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drink. May the poor find wealth, those with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvest. May all medicine be effective and wholesome prayer bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever disease there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until I then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Kari rawe korwe shingam de pindan dewa manu tuwe jirin sungwa tenzin gyatso jin shabe side padu tenju chi tu tu chang shin jam gun jawe ken jang pewe kun so to ko de so zong gu we le ma tu du pa la so lu de gun du sha. Thank you very much. Everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you.